I just got back from the Las Vegas Teams Tournament where I was participating with Master Crafted, a new team from the Colorado area where we were taking all the top players from Colorado, taking them out of the state, and we went to Vegas to take on some of the best players in the world. We did, in fact, play against Art of War, but before we get to all of that, let's talk about what Teams actually is. So let's jump on into the Hive Mind.
First, we have to talk about the format. 40K is a game that is designed to have two players fighting head-to-head on the tabletop. Teams flips the script, and each side is a team of 5 or even 8 players competing against each other. Whichever team collectively scores more points across the totality of all of the games is the team that wins the round. Once the teams are paired up against each other, both teams will have the opportunity to look at the other team's armies and list selection. How does the pairings process work? Both teams start out by choosing their first defender. Both teams reveal their defenders simultaneously. Both teams now take a look at their remaining faction choices and pick 2 attackers to send against their opponent's defending faction. The defenders then each pick from their 2 attackers which one of the respective attackers they would like to fight for their actual game. The Leagues of Votann in this case have chosen to fight against the blue team's Death Guard, and the Space Marines have chosen to fight against the red team's Adeptus Mechanicus. Once the first 2 matchups are fully decided upon, both teams then reset the process and now go in to pick their second defenders. Now, the remaining cards are forced to be the 2 attackers that go up against the second defenders. The defenders, once again, get to choose which one of the 2 attackers they will be playing against, and they get to choose their table choice. In an 8-player teams event, there are 3 more table choices, and both teams will go to a third round of defenders, choosing attackers and defenders, and then the same thing plays out with the leftovers playing against each other.
There's a lot of things to love about Teams, and I really do think it is the best way to play 40K. Let's take a look at some of the reasons as to why before we jump into the actual tournament results.
Now that we know the format, let's talk about what makes it so much better than singles. You can lose your game, and your teammates can save you and keep you in the tournament. In a singles tournament, it's all on you, and if you lose even one game by 1 point, your tournament chances are over. No pressure. In teams, if you lose your game, your friends can save you by winning theirs, and your team can still win the round. I cannot tell you how many great friends I have made through team tournaments, and the stories that you come out with are incredible. Here's me years ago at the first Las Vegas Teams Tournament, where our group of Denver Mountain Trolls decided to go, and we ended up getting second place. And for example, Will Hodges here, he went 0-6. He just decided to be our guy that was going to jump on the grenade, and we threw him under the bus, on top of the grenade, whatever you want to call it. Gave him the worst matchup that none of the rest of us wanted every single game and said, do your best, buddy. Just try and get as many points as you can. And you know what? He did, with a smile on his face, and we made it all the way to the finals, only losing to Art of War. I just wanted to say thank you to Will for doing that, even though it was all those years ago. Way to be a team player. And that's really what Teams is all about. The other thing that is great about Teams are the restrictions for each team to only have one of each faction. I have a tier list here from Art of War, their most recent tier list that they put out after this December balanced data slate. And when you go to a tournament, you would expect to see the vast majority of armies to be one of the top 3 S tier armies. Whereas if you go to a teams event, because of the restriction, each team is only going to have maybe 2 of the 3 top armies, and then 3 other lists that are mediocre armies built to counter the top 3. So for someone like me who loves my Tyranids that are currently down in C tier in terms of power ranking, as long as I build my Tyranids in such a way that they can contribute value in the team matchup, or maybe I build them specifically to take on the Astra Militarum matchup, then they can have a viable place in teams. And suddenly the range of armies that can be seen in a teams format as usable expands drastically.
So let's get into it. We've got the Las Vegas Team Tournament 2026. This is actually the second Las Vegas Team Tournament after the first one that I went to in 2021. So hopefully we can have another good showing, maybe even make it into the finals like we did the first time. So I came in with the team Master Crafted. So let's go ahead and scroll down, find where we are so we can go through each of the players on the team and what our lists were. So we start off with Ben Neal. Of course, Ben is one of my best friends, one of the best players in Colorado. Made it to the finals of LVO in January and did that with Ultramarines. So here he is again, Ultramarines. He does have a little bit of Victrix spam. This event was taken with unnerfed Victrix spam, or unnerfed Victrix, so they have 4 wounds each. And Ben is taking 3 units of 3 of them, as well as just 3 Vindicators and 2 Ballistas. So very just immense damage heavy and super durable. Of course, having the Lone Op Lieutenant as well as the Gravis Captain with Relic armor, and he is taking a Blades of Ultramar list. Then we have John Holbrook. He is coming down to join us from Montana. Excellent player. Just got an invite into Team USA as well. So very happy to have him on the team and hoping he's going to do great for us. He did bring Tau. He is normally an Orc player, but he wanted to try out something a little funky with the Storm Surges dropping down to only 360 points apiece. John wanted to take 2 of them in Motka, give them Scout Forward 6, and just in Team's environment, make sure that he's playing on an open table and just light his opponent up. The 2 Storm Surge combined with triple Riptide, especially against Victrix Guard that are 4 wounds in this event, we thought would be very powerful. Then, of course, we've got myself playing Tyranids. I am playing Assimilation Swarm, very similar to what I brought at LVO in January of last year. So I am actually running max assimilation. So max harvester units. I have triple Psychophage, triple Haruspex, triple Ripper Swarm, and 2 units of 3 Pyrovores, as well as the Hive Tyrant with the Fights First enhancement and Swarm Lord, both accompanied by 6 Tyrant Guard. And I'm just forming a wall and pushing forward an immovable wall of biomass. One of my favorite playstyles for Tyranids. It just seems so thematic to me. Then we have Phil, and he is playing Genestealer Cult. He's actually playing the Outlander Claw, and Phil is actually our team captain and the one who managed most of the pairings. He is one of the co-founders of Master Crafted. We, of course, had Lane also joining us, and he was our team captain and did an excellent job feeding us, providing for us. It was, honestly, the weekend was so much better because he was there. So huge thanks to Lane. Really appreciate it. And Phil's here with his Outlander Claw, Genestealer Cult, just planning on getting points. These guys are just all about board control, recurring your units once they're destroyed, bringing them right back in, and just being obnoxious to kill and scoring points all the while. Then we have Ryan. He is actually from Wyoming, but basically Colorado. He's here playing World Eaters. This is probably his secondary army. He has a few, so I don't know if it's his second or his third. Orcs are his main that I've seen him play, but wanted to try out World Eaters for this event. Gorgeous World Eaters army, by the way, painted up in their Horus Heresy color scheme. Looks incredible. Ryan has won. He actually just recently won Best Overall at the SoCal Open. So, fantastic player, fantastic painter, fantastic guy. Very happy to have him on the team. And he's just playing very aggressive World Eaters, lots of 8-bound, Exalted 8-bound, and Karn with 10 Berserkers and a Rhino. Very much just the melee matchup that we're hoping to get on table 8 all the time and just crush people with the damage output of World Eaters. Round 1, we are paired into Dice Bums. So these guys are relatively new to the scene. I talked with them, asked them how long they'd all been playing the game, and the answer was about a year. So definitely a newer team, which means a bit of a nice warm-up round for us, round 1. very pleasant guys. Was awesome to play against them. They had very cool purple jerseys. But looking at their team comp, they have Leagues of Votann, Custodes, Emperor's Children, Tau, and Necrons. So immediately we notice there's no Guard, there's no Sisters, there's no Space Marines, which are all the armies that we were kind of prepared to take on. However, after the round of pairings went down, I ended up paired against Rahul and his Tau. So let's take a look at his list. So Rahul is playing Retaliation Cadre, and as you can see by the name, Triptide. So he does have Commander Farsight, Commander Shadow Sun, and a commander in Cold Star. Actually, 2 of them, one of which with the Starflare ignition system. Actually, not sure what that enhancement does, but Dark Strider as well. So we got all the named characters. Then we have a 2x3 Fire Knife squads. These guys have missile pods. And then we have they also reroll wounds against full health units, so that will come into play. Then we have a Star Scythe squad. So again, Retaliation Cadre is all about these crisis suits. You get an extra point of strength if you're within 12 inches, and you get an extra point of AP if you're within 9. So these Star Scythe battle suits end up being joined by Farsight, and it's 3 flamers that reroll wounds against infantry, and they get +1 AP from against infantry for being Star Scythe, as well as +1 AP for being within 9 from the detachment. So all of a sudden, these are 6d6 twin-linked flamers at AP2 that rapid ingress in with Farsight for a free CP and basically get in real close and just light you up. It's a very strong unit. We got a Ghost Keel, Kroot Carnivores. So Ghost Keels are super annoying. They're just unbelievably tanky for their points and very difficult to get a hold of. With having fallback, shoot and charge, having blank damage twice, having a 4-up invuln, 2-up armor save, stealth, lone op. They're just lictors on steroids. And they actually do damage with shooting. So, that's nice too. Pathfinder team to help give reroll 1s to hit and wound when they guide. Or no, that's the stealth teams, but Pathfinders do pretty good too. A single Piranha. There it is, the triple Riptide. And here are the stealth suits that give reroll 1s to hit and wound. So let's take a look at the deployment and what mission we are playing. All right, so round 1 versus Rahul. We are playing Scorched Earth, and deployment is Tipping Point. Although, as you can see in the objective markers in the center here, I kind of messed that up, and I deployed the objective markers as if we were playing Hammer and Anvil. So this objective marker is supposed to actually be here. This objective marker is supposed to be here. Don't think it made a huge difference, but my apologies. I messed that up. And Rahul, being a newer player, did not catch me. Should probably go over my list. I have a Haruspex 1, 2, 3. I have Psychophage 1, 2, 3. 3 Venom Thropes that give stealth and cover, at least stealth to the Pyrovores here. And we've got Hive Tyrant with Tyrant Guard and Swarm Lord with Tyrant Guard hiding behind this wall. More Pyrovores up here, ready to just move forward. 2 Neurolictors. There's another one right here that you can't quite see. Neurolictor here. And I basically just kind of told Rahul that I'm going to be deploying the same kind of regardless of whatever he does. So I'm just going to set up my army and set it up accordingly. And here, let's see if I can. Rahul does have a bunch of reserves. So he has 3 crisis suit teams, including Farsight in reserves. He did infiltrate his Ghost Keel as well as his Pathfinders, and Pathfinders are going to scout just back here because I did end up getting first turn. Here's a better image. So yeah, you can see Farsight and crew and a Flamer squad and a missile squad. The other enhancement that I couldn't remember what it was is on these guys. It allows them to just go uppy downy. So missile suits here, Riptide, 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 stealth suits, not Farsight, the Shadow Sun Piranha, and I believe Dark Strider is right in here as well. He redeployed his Ghost Keel over here to get out of the way and scouted forward his Kroot onto this objective. And for the first turn, since I did get first, I ended up drawing a Tempting Target, which he is very easy for me to get with these two Neurolictors. So he did tempt me with this top objective, and I got marked for death. And he just said all 3 Riptides. I said, that's fine. I'll choose the Kroot as my secondary. Or no, I chose his Crisis Suits. I said, I'm going to choose these guys. So if you throw them back in reserve, I'm going to get my 2 points. So that was my turn 1. I basically pushed forward with my entire army and tried to get my Tempting Target, of which I did do by advancing the Harspecs on the objective. He's OC4 versus the 1 Kroot on the objective. And as you can see, the wall of biomass has just pushed forward. That's the way this list plays. You're going to see this a lot more times. But literally just everything advances. I did leave Ripper here, throw a Spore Mine here, starting to screen out. Again, if he picks these guys up, I will score a marked for death. But I didn't do any attacks. I don't think I rolled a single dice other than advances this turn. And Rahul then draws Engage and Storm Hostile. Very easy to do. At least Storm, the Kroot just have to walk onto this objective. And Engage, he's going to get at least here. He elected not to pick up the suits. He did not want to give me 2 points. And so he got a 1 point Engage for holding these 2 table quarters, as well as Storm Hostile by just moving the Kroot forward onto here. I do believe this Riptide came forward and shot at me, and these Riptides came forward to shoot down this lane as well. Or maybe he shot at these Pyrovores. Let's see. It does look like a Pyrovore is wounded, but this is the end of my movement for my turn 2, where I did score 10 primary for Scorched Earth. I did hold these 3 objectives, but it caps out on 10. So in my previous videos, I've talked a lot about struggling to hold primary, and that has been the issue, and I've been losing a lot of practice games because of it. So I went all in on this list where I'm not going to struggle to hold primary because I'm just going to throw my entire army on the midfield and hold as many objectives as possible. So I did hold these. I got my 10 primary, and I held on to Marked for Death, hoping to kill this Riptide. I did manage to make the charge in with my Harspecs, as well as the Fight's First Hive Tyrant. I think that was like a 9-inch charge that I CP rerolled, and I did make it in. So that was pretty big, but unfortunately I did not kill the Riptide. Turns out 2 up, 4 up can be really good. I think he just made a lot of invulns. So I chipped down at him, but I certainly did not kill him. Same thing over here. I flamed and killed a decent chunk of Pathfinders and charged in the Harspecs into the Ghost Keel. But the Harspecs did not kill it because 2 up, 4 up. Basically, I think I got it down to 6 wounds and then did 2 damage with my big Crushing Claws, which he just elected to shield drone and blank both of them. But as you can see, just kind of shoved forward with everyone. Swarm Lord was also in position to attempt a charge here, but the other Hive Tyrant beat him to it. And Farsight did rapid ingress up here in the top left corner of my home with Flamer Suits, so he can go threaten my home next turn. I did fill in more Spore Mines over here and a Ripper to try and screen him out, but this is where Farsight ended up going, just outside of 12 of my Flamers. And yeah, he's going to come over here, destroy this Ripper, and try and take my home from me. So moving into Rahul's turn 2, he did get his home for 5 points, and he drew Tempting Target and Defend Stronghold. If I remember right, I tempted him with the center. Yeah, I tempted him with the center. And then Defend Stronghold, obviously, he just has to hold his home. So what was very interesting here with the Tempting Target is this Piranha moved forward onto this objective where I have a Psychophage and a Venom Throat. He then told the Psychophage to take a Battle Shock check. I am within Synapse because there is a Neurolictor right here,
and I rolled 3-1-1 and promptly failed Battle Shock on my Psychophage, which meant I only had 1 OC on this objective compared to his 2 with the Piranha. So he got Tempting Target just like that. He didn't actually have to kill anything. He scored his Tempting Target because I failed 3d6 Battle Shock. It happens. But I am also actively burning this top objective, I believe, or maybe this bottom one. That's right. This Neurolictor is burning this bottom objective. So forcing Rahul to kind of just, I'm everywhere. He does take the center from me. This Riptide is in combat, and I believe he falls back to here. Yep. So Riptide falls back to here. This Piranha moves forward, Battle Shocks this Psychophage for Tempting Target. The Ghost Keel falls back from the Haruspex and begins shooting here. Other than that, he basically just looks down this line. I don't actually remember if he killed much, but as you can see, Farsight did come up over here to threaten my homes, and Farsight does flame and kill this Ripper, and then fire, and he spends a CP to fire and fade onto my home, stealing my home from me. But going into my turn 3, I did sticky this top objective, so I do hold this top objective. I do hold the center because I am no longer battle shocked, and I did successfully burn the bottom objective. So I actually score 15 points on primary, even though I do not have my home. Yep. And then this is the end of my movement on my turn 3, where I've continued to hold on to Marked for Death, preventing him from picking up this missile squad, and still just trying to kill this Riptide. Turn 3, it finally happens. I charge in with the Riptide again, or with the Haruspex again, into the Riptide, and the Psychophage and the Neurolictor, all of them pile in to kill this. The Neurolictor and the Haruspex are able to do it themselves, allowing the Psychophage to activate, pile in, and kill this Piranha alongside the Venom Thropes charging it. Swarmlord had to turn around and go deal with Farsight on my home, as it is Scorched Earth. I do not want Farsight to actually be burning my home. And this Haruspex who was here turned around with the Pyrovores. They're going after the second missile squad that rapid ingressed over here. So at this point, and then my Hive Tyrant charges into his missile squad here, and actually, I think I multi-charged both. Yeah, multi-charged both. However, I only killed 1 stealth suit and 1 missile suit. And over here, unfortunately, I am losing on this flank where the double Riptides are, but that's okay. I've already burned this objective. So the Haruspex that was over here does get killed and picked up by these guys. And for Rahul's turn 4, he does hold his home. Or for his turn 3, I actually contested his home because I declared Shadow in the Warp, which resulted in, everybody failed. So battle shocked, battle shocked, battle shocked, battle shocked. It's literally everyone. So I did take his home from him. However, he did finish his defense stronghold because he had it at the end of my turn. I did not kill enough stuff to take it away from him, but then at the beginning of his turn, I battle shocked him. So the only things not battle shocked are this Riptide and Farsight, I believe. And Shadow Sun. So Shadow Sun comes back to get his home. He actually does manage to shoot and kill everything over here. So he kills the Hive Tyrant with the Tyrant Guard, as well as the Psychophage and the Neurolictor. But the Haruspex did pick up here, and Swarmlord and friends, while they didn't kill off Farsight, they did manage to whittle him down. And at this point, Rahul has basically conceded. I'm ahead by like 40 points, and we're actually really low on time. So I do manage to burn the center at the end of this turn as well. And with that, Rahul cannot take my home, as Swarmlord is winning this battle and is out OCing Farsight and the 1 remaining Crisis Suit who's left over here. While he does clean this up and he gets to keep his home, he's only scoring 5 points for that. The center is now burned for me, and there's only this top objective that I have stickied and he can't quite get to. So And then even if he did, I was able to go after it with a Haruspex. But so, yeah, anyways, victory for Tyranids in round 1 and victory for Master Crafted at the end of round 1. Again, Rahul was a newer player. His team was a newer team. So absolute pleasure to play. Definitely was a good warm-up round and wanted to see how I would fare against these Riptides, as they are flat 4 damage, designed to kill Victrix Guard, but it also works really well against Tyrant Guard. I think I just gave him too much stuff to shoot, so I just shoved forward, and then, yeah, this Shadow in the Warp was kind of the nail in the coffin here, and managed to pick up the win for Tyranids. Final score was... no, I don't get a C. Sorry, 90-55 was the final score. So that is... turns into a 16-4. So for round 1, we ended up getting the win. Round 2, we are paired into #REKT. Their team consists of Genestealer Cult, Custodes, Chaos Space Marines, Guard, and Death Guard. I don't remember exactly how the pairings went, but I did end up getting paired into the Death Guard, with, I believe, the Death Guard player being the defender. So he chose to be paired into me. And let's take a look at his list. So we've got Virulent Vectorum, and we have the Demon Prince of Nurgle, who's basically just a tiny Mortarion. He's just ridiculously hard to kill. Lord of Contagion, Lord of Virulence, both of those are going with Death Shroud Terminators. We do have Mortarion. We are in Virulent Vectorum, so that means that either this Demon Prince or Morty, you get them down low on health, you do chip damage to them, and they have a strat to do roll a number of dice equal to their missing wounds, and for every 5 up, you take a mortal and they heal. So you don't want to go after Mortarion unless you can kill him in one shot, and I can't, so I'm going to have to try and ignore Mortarion this entire game. And kind of the same goes for this Demon Prince of Nurgle. He's also ridiculous. We have 2 spawn, as mentioned, the 2 squads of Death Shroud Terminators. Triple Blight Drones with Heavy Blight Launcher. These guys are still amazing. I remember when they were 90 points. Now they're up to 120, and people are still taking 3 of them. Double Myphitic Blight Hauler, and 30 Poxwalkers as a screen. So let's take a look at the mission and deployment. All right, so for deployment and mission, we are playing Scorched Earth and Tipping Point, and this is how I know that I screwed up with the Tau game mission objectives, because I ended up playing the exact same mission in round 2 and was like, wait a second, this isn't what I did last time. And yeah, so anyways, the objectives are in the correct spot now, and with Tipping Point, as you can see, I just kind of deployed everything on the line again. And Steve did similarly with his infiltrating Poxwalkers, basically just taking the his expansion objective. We are on layout 8, so very narrow shooting lanes, just kind of down here, right down here in the center, and down here, but pretty narrow shooting lanes. And yeah, both of us just went for our expansion, and we're playing Scorched Earth, so all you have to do is hold your home, hold your expansion, and you're going to get your 10 primary. And basically, this game is going to come down to very draw-ish, and probably whoever goes second is going to win by 5 points, because they're going to burn on the bottom of 2. And I kind of knew that going into it, and I got permission from the captain of, yep, just go get a 10-10 draw. That's totally fine. That's actually great for us. No one else wanted this Death Guard matchup, so you take it out for us, and that would be awesome. So anyways, deployed on the line, I've got, once again, the Fights First Hive Tyrant with Tyrant Guard here, kind of being protected behind this. He is supporting the 3 Pyrovores here, and we've got the second unit of 3 Pyrovores ready to come up into this ruin, followed by Swarm Lord and his Tyrant Guard coming in. I have Haruspex and Psychophage going to support my expansion, with this Psychophage and Haruspex ready to move forward. Whether, depending on what Steve puts forward, I will either give him
Psychophage Harspex, or I'll give him Swarmlord with Tyrant Guard. So I'm hoping Psychophage Harspex initially, and then Swarmlord comes in to actually deal the hammer blow, especially because everything that Steve has is hyper durable. And then obviously I have the same thing down here on this flank, although they're going to have to go all the way around to get to this expansion objective. So they're pretty safe down here, but also they're not going to be able to threaten a lot. It's really the center that we're going to be trading over at just kind of continuously. So this is deployment, and looks like I got first turn. So that does put me at a bit of a disadvantage. Steve is likely going to win by like 5 points because of burning objectives, having the bottom of 5. But I did draw Extend Battle Lines and Area Denial, which are fantastic secondaries to draw with you going first. So all I did was run everybody forward. And as discussed, I put the Harspex in the front with Swarmlord as the backup. And yeah, just really kind of shoved onto all the objectives, pressured, got my extend, got my area denial, got 9 points up on secondaries, and passed the turn. This is actually the end of my turn 2. So the big difference between this turn and this one is on Steve's turn 1, he drew Cull the Horde. Obviously can't do that. And then marked for death and extend. So very easy for him to get extend. He just has his Demon Prince over here on his expansion, as well as firing off some shells from the Blight Haulers. So basically targeted, fired away. If I remember right, he just killed a few. He killed a few of the Fight's First Hive Tyrant's Tyrant Guard, but really didn't do any meaningful damage because I was able to just heal it back. He didn't put out either of his Myphitic Blight Haulers to be able to shoot, so it was just a slight shelling from the Blight Haulers. And I think he killed 2 guys, and I'm going to bring 1 back. So nothing crazy. But the main difference is then he did screen me with all of his Poxwalkers. And so on my turn, my turn 2, I did hold my expansion in my home for 10 primary. And then I drew no prisoners, Cull the Horde, and marked for death. So I believe he marked, it doesn't matter. I only got the gamma target. He marked stuff that I couldn't get to because of the screen. But I was able to clear all 3 Poxwalker screens, which gave me the full 5 points for marked for death. And I think I put the one in the middle as my gamma target. So killed that easily and got 2 points there. So I am actually up quite a bit on secondaries, where I've already scored 16 points on secondaries in the first 2 turns. Very nice start, especially considering, again, Steve should be ahead of the game with having bottom of turn. Speaking of which, bottom of turn, Steve 2, he ended up getting he held his expansion and his home for 10 points, and he drew Sabotage and Secure No Man's Land. So his Demon Prince just kind of walked wholly into this piece of terrain and started sabotaging, and Secure No Man's Land, he held this, and he elected to go ahead and send Morty into the center to take Secure No Man's Land. So as you can see here, he did have his Death Shroud Terminators deep struck right here and made their 6-inch charge into this Harspex. Importantly, they did not kill it. I popped the Feel No Pain. However, the combination of shelling from all 3 Blight Haulers and 2 Myphitic Blight Drones, and then followed up by the charge from Morty, did manage to kill off the Hive Tyrant with Fights First and the Tyrant Guard. And actually, if I remember right, it was kind of ridiculous. All of the shooting killed off the 6 Tyrant Guard. And then, except for Morty's. And then Morty's shooting went into the Hive Tyrant. He rolled a 6 to hit on his big gun, which is sustained D3, and then rolled another 6. So he got 4 hits with his big gun, did 9 damage to the Hive Tyrant, leaving it at 1. And then he just tank shocked it with this Blight Hauler, and Morty went in and just decided to kill this Neurolictor and pile into my Pyrovores to turn them off. But in the process of so doing, he did in fact take the center and get Secure No Man's Land with 2 objectives. So he does get 8 secondary points, kind of bringing it up to where he now has 12 to my 16. So I'm only 4 points ahead at the end of round 2. Going into round 3, I do hold, once again, my expansion and my home for 10 points. And then I drew Tempting Target and Storm Hostile. So the problem with this is
The only way that I'm going to get tempting target is by taking this objective over here. And I don't remember why, but I actually, oh, it's because when he tank shocked with the, when he tank shocked and killed my Hive Tyrant, I heroically intervened with this Haruspex, who did end up killing this and piling onto the objective. Which actually, that does mean I took away his secure no man's land. So that is the point differential that I was missing in this game. Sorry, when his score at the end was different than mine, and I couldn't figure out why. That is why. I did take away 3 points there. So then, yeah, we went into turn 3, and I basically was only able to go after this one objective with both of my secondaries for secure or for tempting and storm. It didn't happen. I can't physically get around this building. So, and he has a Demon Prince and 2 Blight Haulers on it, and I'm currently in combat over here. He's blocking it off. There's just no world where I'm ever touching that. So I'm going to get a 0 on secondaries for this turn and lose my entire early game lead that I had built up. But going into Steve's turn 3, and I did actually line up to take out Morty with Swarmlord, or to basically, I fell back with the Pyrovores. Let's see. Yeah. So I came in to attack with this Haruspex. I lined up where I could flame Morty with the Pyrovores to get the +1 AP. I got to shoot him with these Pyrovores. I lined up where Swarmlord was going to charge in. Maybe a Psychophage gets in and a Haruspex gets in. And I was just going to completely dogpile Morty. And then I realized if I do that and I don't kill him, I just lose the game. So halfway through my shooting phase, I was like, you know what? Never mind. I'm just not even going to go after Morty. And instead, this Haruspex went over here, killed this Blight Hauler. This Psychophage went for a 9-inch charge into the spawn and failed. And Swarmlord just decided to stand there. So I did manage to out OC Morty. But even taking this objective doesn't matter because, again, we're playing Scorched Earth. He only has to hold 2. So I just elected, never mind. I'm not going to throw the game away. I'm going for a draw anyways. So I'm going to leave Morty alone, because if I chip him down to like 2 wounds and he heals back and he kills Swarmlord, he kills a Haruspex, it would suddenly be very, very bad for me, and I'm just giving Morty more activations. So what I should have done is I should have fallen back with these Pyrovores as well. I didn't. Morty just got to pick them up for free. That's what happens when you change game plans in the middle of your turn. But not the end of the world. Again, I just got 0 secondary points. I didn't kill Morty, and I think really the only thing I did this turn, I killed off these 2 Death Shroud, leaving only the character alive on 1 wound, is what I'm remembering, and I killed off this with the Haruspex. So going into Steve's turn 3, he did hold 2 objectives. I think he even held the center. Doesn't matter. But he drew Storm Hostile Objective, Assassinate, and Defend Stronghold. So that's actually perfect because, yeah, I think he did hold the center, and then he drew Storm Hostile. So he also had to either get my expansion or my home, because I actually didn't hold the center. So Storm Hostile was a null draw, and Assassinate, he has to kill Swarmlord. So, yep, I believe he tossed Storm Hostile for a CP and ended up drawing Defend Stronghold instead, and he went in to try and kill Swarmlord. But did not succeed. So yeah, I believe this is the end of my turn 3. And yeah, I think actually with his shooting, he kind of realized, never mind, I'm not even going to go after Swarmlord the same way that I didn't go after Mortarion. Instead, his Blight drones shot and killed my Haruspex that was here. And he did bring in a second squad of Death Shroud Terminators over here that charged in and killed the Psychophage. And then Mortarion comes over here and attacks and actually kills both of these Psychophage alongside the spawn. So I did lose a Haruspex and 3 Psychophage in this turn, which was definitely pretty brutal. But in terms of secondaries, Steve also scored 0 secondaries on turn 3. So I maintain my 4-point lead on secondaries after all. Then we go into turn 4. I hold my
2 objectives, keeping a 10-point primary. And I draw Display of Might and establish Locus. Locus is easy enough to do. I think I did it with Venom Thropes. Maybe I did it with Pyrovores. Something did establish Locus. It was not too difficult. But what's actually kind of annoying, so it looks like I did establish Locus with Pyrovores. I tried to go around Mortarion to charge this Blight Hauler that's on his home, and Mortarion reactive moved to block my charge because I'd been ignoring him all game and I was trying to go around him, but Mortarion does have reactive shoot, reactive move, and fight on death that he can pick as abilities. So when I moved to go after his home field, he reactive moved just to block my charge and say, you have to charge me. So I didn't. I just sat there and was sad. And my Haruspex tried like a 10-inch charge, I think, there and failed. This Haruspex went into the Death Shroud, killed 2 of them, and didn't die on the clapback, but I think he's very close. I think he's down to like 3 wounds at this point. But I do get my Display of Might with between Spore Mines, Ripper Swarms, and all of my other stuff. So I get 4 points for that, and I got a 2-point Established Locus with these guys. So still doing okay. I'm up to now a solid 20 on secondary points. 22 on secondary points, which I will take. And then going into Steve's turn, bottom of 4. He of course holds his home and expansion for 10 primary, so we're on track for both of us to basically max primary. And he draws Display of Might and Overwhelming Force. So I lucked out here because Overwhelming Force is basically kill the Pyrovores or the Tyrant Guard off of Swarmlord. And Display of Might is kind of difficult for him to do because I just threw everything in the middle for my Display of Might. So I think I had 8 units and he had 5 that he could possibly get in the middle. So he'd have to get all 5 of his in the middle and kill 4 of my units. And he did come very close. He did kill 3 of my units with getting 5 of his in the middle. And we ended up tying for Display of Might. So that means he did only get 3 points on secondaries there. And leaving him at 15 to my 22 for secondaries. And we are still tied on primary at this point. Going into bottom of 5, don't have a lot left. Essentially, I do manage to, I score my 10 and I start burning my expansion because it's turn 5. And I kind of block off everything that he's trying to do. I think this Haruspex goes and kills this Blight Drone. And I do pop Shadows to try and stop him from burning anything. It doesn't work. The only guy that actually, we were so caught up in just being like, yeah, okay, this is a draw game. We talked out turn 5. I'd been saving Shadows for turn 5. And then we just kind of were like, yep, all right, nothing happens. You burn your expansion. You probably kill this guy. I'm going to kill Swarmlord. And we're just going to both burn and we're basically going to tie the game. And so because we were talking it out, I actually forgot to pop Shadows, which I don't normally do. I was intentionally holding it for turn 5 for specifically this reason, that if like Morty or this guy fails, then they wouldn't be able to burn. And that would be huge. I guess not really. These guys could have burned as well. So I guess everything would have kind of had to fail, which is not likely to happen at all. But he did draw Tempting Target and bring it down. So, of course, I tempted him with the expansion. And then for Bring It Down, he just went and killed Swarmlord with Mortarion. Easy for him. But that does result in... I think actually I was not able to kill this, and he had to roll a 4 on an advance to come take this objective from me, which he did. I don't even think he needed the CP reroll. So he comes and takes that away, stops me from burning, and that results in the final score being 80 to 79. So a 10-10 draw with me technically winning by 1 point, but a 10-10 draw, which I will take. So essentially, he did end up getting the massive advantage for going second with the burn mission because he stopped my burn and completed his. And he did get a big 9-point secondary turn. But I was actually managed to get just enough of a lead on secondaries that he finished with 45 primary. I finished with 40 primary. And then I finished with 30 secondary to his 24 for me to win by a singular point. Going on to how the round ended up. Let's see. We did barely win. There we go. Let's go pairings. We were pretty early on. We were on table 5. So we did manage to get the win, 55-45, which in 8-man teams is actually a draw. You have to win by more than 10 points over your opponent. In 5-man teams, or at least for this event, you had to win by 10 or more. So we were actually debating whether this was a draw or a win. It turns out it was a win, but that's because Phil with his Gene Stealer Colt did get a 20-0 against their Custodes. John with his Tau kind of got wrecked by Guard with an 18-2. Ryan's World Eaters did lose to the CSM. I think this was one of their best players on their team, though. So not too bad for Ryan. Ben got the 17-3 with his Space Marines versus Gene Stealer Colt. And then, of course, I got the 10-10 draw. So we just barely squeaked out the win there. But we did it. So that means that we are now 2-0 going into round 3. All right, boys. It's time. We're 2-0. So you know what that means. We get to play against Art of War round 3. So we did play. Art of War did bring 2 different teams. They're Cool Car and International. We, of course, drew against the International team composed of none other than Anthony Vanilla playing World Eaters. I don't think it's actually any kind of contention to say Anthony is the number 1 World Eaters player in the world. He's been playing for Team USA for at least 5 years, and I think he's been World Eaters all 5 years. I may be wrong on that, but it has certainly been a lot, and he is known for just blowing games wide open and getting 20-0s, even at Worlds against some of the other best players from other countries. Then, of course, we've got the boy king himself, Mr. John Lennon, playing Astra Militarum. Walking up to the table, John called me out and was like, all right, Matt, me and you. And I was more than happy to do so. And pairings ended up not going that way. But I would have loved to play against him. He actually decided to pick me early with someone else. But then we have Kassra, one of the nicest guys in 40K, an incredible painter. Always, I've only ever seen him with Ultramarines. I don't know if that's his only army, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And then putting Cass on the Art of War team, I think he started as just like a good player that was a very good painter. But he's now been with Art of War for like 2.5 years and is now an exceptional player that is also an exceptional painter. So, and again, just like the nicest guy in the world. Matt Robertson, this is why they are Art of War International. Matt Robertson flew over from the UK, and he is playing Chaos Demons. This is the all of the Zinch chicken spam. So that's a fun list there. I think it's Be'lakor, Fate Weaver, and 3 Lords of Change, right? That's the chicken one. Yeah, Lords of Change. And then none other than Sam Pope himself, the Tyranid player that I would, as much as I don't want to admit it, is a better Tyranid player than me. Which is incredible because he's pretty new to 40K in the grand scheme of things. I mean, compared to me, who's been playing Tyranids for 15 years, Sam Pope's been playing them a third of that time and has, definitely made a name for himself. So this is a stacked team for sure. And we get into pairings, and their round 1 defender is none other than Anthony Vanilla. Which we decide to throw out Phil's GSC we throw out our own World Eaters because we know that they're going to throw them on table 8. So we throw out our own World Eaters who also want table 8, as well as myself. And John went out as first defender, or John elected for me to be the one to fight their first defender. So I end up paired against Anthony and his World Eaters. So let's dive in, see what we are playing, and the deployment. Guess you guys probably want to know Anthony's list. So he is playing the Berserker Warband. This is the +2 strength, +1 attack on the charge. He is playing Angron, and we've got Karn leading a 10-man Berserker squad in a Rhino. You've got the Lord on Juggernaut with the Battle Lust enhancement. Not entirely sure what that does, but I mean, the entire unit moves 10. I don't know if that's the Juggernaut's ability or the enhancement's ability, but yeah, unit moves 10. Then he does have a Slaughterbound as well. Again, 10-man unit of Khorne Berserkers joined by Karn, and a 20-man Khorne Berserkers who are joining the Juggernaut. Karn's units and a Rhino. 3 units of 2 Chaos Spawn because they just do absurd damage in World Eaters. They get D6 plus 5 attacks each on the charge. It's kind of absurd. Then he has a single unit of 8-bound, a single unit of Exalted 8-bound, and a unit of Goremongers, as well as a unit of Jackals that sit on their home. Anthony was very thorough about going through his list and making sure that I was aware of most of his tricks, or at least all of his data sheets, and making sure that I knew how World Leaders played. I do. I've played against him several times, so not too many surprises there. All right, so let's get into the actual game itself. So we are playing Hammer and Anvil deployment. We are on mission 8, and we are playing just standard take and hold. So 5 points for every objective that you get, and with the objective markers in the correct spot for Hammer and Anvil deployment. Layout 8, again, no shooting. That's fine. Neither one of us really brought guns. So as you can see, we both just kind of lined up here, and Anthony, as you can tell, is very excited about this game. But yeah, melee matchups, we're both just deployed on the line, and whoever goes first has the very awkward position of, well, I can't quite charge what I want to charge, so how far forward do I go? Because anything that moves forward is going to get charged. Yeah, but as you can see, I just kind of threw everything on the line. I do actually have all my Pyrovores in the front, as they are probably the least valuable asset in my army for this matchup. And, you know, maybe they get a cheeky Overwatch and take something out that's coming in pretty early. But just deployed everything on the line. I want to be able to hit whatever I want to hit as soon as possible. And yeah, unfortunately, I got to go first. So this was a little awkward because, as I said, you just kind of have to decide how far are you going to move forward, because anything you move forward will get charged. I did move my entire army forward a little bit, but I did push out my Pyrovore screen in the front. And I will say the nice thing about me going first is I do get to know what Anthony's blood dice are. So he rolled up his blood dice and he got sustained hits and lethal hits. So with that, I was like, okay, so he's not doing the +2 move. He's not doing the 6-inch pile-in and consolidate. So I should be relatively fine. Like, yes, his spawn that scouted forward, his 8-bound scouted forward, his Goremongers infiltrate. So he can hit me with all of that, and he can probably throw Angron at me if he wants to, but that's fine. I'm going to have him hit my Pyrovore shield, and everyone else is going to be 4 inches back from that front line. Although maybe I heroically intervene with a fights first. If he like hops the line, I have fights first for heroic intervention here. I have heroic intervention here. I'm going into Anthony's turn with 3 CP to be able to interrupt. So if he does try and get cheeky, I have a heroic intervention plus maybe a free heroic intervention. One of those guys can do so. I have fights first on the top unit with the Hive Tyrant, and I have an interrupt with Swarmlord. So I was thinking I could definitely cause problems for him in this melee matchup. But anyways, for my first turn, I did draw no prisoners and extend. Extend is very easy. Unfortunately, this is game 3 on the same day of a team tournament. So just so you guys are aware, we are starting this game at like 6 p.m. So very late, very tired. Not the round that I want to be playing against Art of War, because I do not have the brain power to really fully think through stuff. Actually, at this point in time, I moved forward and I was like, oh man, I should have like measured your threat ranges. And Anthony and I was like, I just kind of did it off of vibes. And Anthony was like, do you want to measure the threat ranges? Because like you could go back and you could do that. And I was like, nah, I feel kind of good about this screen. Nah, let's just play. And So, anyways, I threw up a Pyrovore screen, and it felt like about the right distance to be away from him. But I didn't measure any of it, and I probably should have. But we'll see. Going off of vibes here, which the team gave me endless shit for, and I guess I got a new nickname off of that, but we'll get to that later. Uh, the problem is that because I got extend, the first model I moved was this Psychophage to go and touch this objective because he could just walk in there from the deployment zone and touch it, and that was a sure thing. And I'm like, cool, got my extend. Anyways, now everyone else is going to advance and form the wall of pyrovores and kind of sit there. So as you can see, I'm even like interspersing these rippers at awkward points to maybe just break up. Where if he were to charge here, sure, he could pile in and he could tag the Haruspecs, but he'd actually have quite a few guys that would have to attack the ripper. So I'm just trying to throw in all these little things to just make it where him charging me with his whole army ends very poorly for him. Even here, Ripper just being like a little roadblock that, sure, you can charge this, and then I'll charge you with 2 Haruspexes and a Psychophage. But anyways, this is me going in, and at the start of Anthony's turn, he was like, hang on one sec. And he runs over to John and says, hey, John, should I just Cowabunga this and go all in and risk the game on turn 1? And John's exact words were, party hardy, which is a very John thing to say. So Anthony comes back and he's like, we're doing it. We're just going all in. We're going to play this game in 1 turn. And he shoves. So I did not think Berserkers moved that fast. Like, I know that they went from 6 inches to 8 inches. And then with the Juggernaut, they go to 10 inches. And I was like, wow, that is further than I thought they could move. But because, like, again, I was expecting to be charged by all of his spawn, maybe his Exalted 8-bound, or his 8-bound that scouted forward, but definitely not the Berserkers. I did not think they could get that close. And looking back at it now, I think I'm correct. They can't get that close. I'm not accusing Anthony of cheating. This was a very fun game. Anthony is a great guy. I've played multiple games with Anthony and I've never had a problem. He's been in the spotlight for 5 years and I've never heard a single bad thing about him. So I'm going to chalk this up to it's 6 p.m. in Vegas and he just got the go ahead from John to just go and clobber me and he got really excited. But as you can very clearly see here, because we are playing Hammer and Anvil deployment, all of these 3 objectives are very clearly delineating what the halfway line is, which is 30 inches up the board. And the deployment zone on Hammer and Anvil is 18 inches. So these Berserkers being on this halfway line means that they moved 12, not 10 and 8. So they did definitely move further than they should have. I went through to see every possible connotation that would have allowed Anthony to do this legally. As far as I'm aware, there's not one. I checked with my team as well, like with my World Eaters player, and was like, hey, can he get Scout on these guys? No. Can he get Advance and Charge on these guys? The answer was yes, he could Advance and Charge on these guys, but A, spending the strat would be in the charge phase, which he couldn't do because he's in Vect Aura because of Swarmlord, and B, he didn't do Advance and Charge because what he ends up doing is these Exalted 8-bound down here, spend a CP to get +1 AP against this Psychophage. So I know he didn't advance this unit. I know he didn't scout this unit. And the Juggernaut makes the unit characteristic movement 10. So these guys just went too far. And same with this unit up here. They did disembark from the Rhino, so they went 11. But they are very clearly a little bit in front of this halfway point. So they went about a little over 12. Which is a bummer because obviously in a melee matchup, making your charges is huge. So this is essentially him giving himself +2 to charge on 2 very big important bricks, which has a big impact on the game. Again, I'm not accusing Anthony of cheating. He's been in the spotlight long enough that I think if he was a cheater, he would have been caught by now. But also, I can just tell. I've played the guy a few times. I'd like to think of him as a friend. We've chatted quite a few times, and so I'm not accusing him of cheating. I think he just got overly zealous and was tired and pushed these guys too far forward. But I am going to say that
probably has a decent impact on this game. Anyways, enough of that. So let's get into what actually happened. He does move forward with 2 spawn here. I do elect to Overwatch, and I do it for free from the Hive Tyrant, maybe. Yeah, definitely within 12 of the Hive Tyrant. So I do it for free, so I still have my 3 CP. And all 3 of these Pyrovores get to Overwatch into this spawn, and I do 7 wounds. This spawn lives with 1 wound left, which is I'm perfectly happy with. That's a decent Overwatch. Almost took out that entire unit in the first blast. And that should be pretty easy to clean up from here on out. Hopefully, like the Neurolictor does it. But up on the top here, there are 4 spawn up here, 2 of which are going to go into this Ripper, 2 of which are going to go into this Neurolictor, asking me if I want to heroically intervene over here. I don't, because essentially what happens here is these Exalted 8-bound, or just these regular 8-bound, they charge into this Psychophage. They then pop 1 CP for a extra AP in combat. So these guys are going to be AP 4 into my Psychophage to basically guarantee the kill on here. So I either get a 6-up or I get no save. Either way, he's making it very, very likely that he kills this Psychophage because his whole game plan is basically hinging on the other strat that he has, which is once you kill a character or a monster in combat, you spend a CP and you get a new blood tithe roll. And while I knew he could do that, I thought it was any unit that died. So if I had known that it was monster or character, which again, this is not on Anthony, he did go very much through his army, asking me if I knew everything, and I said yes. But I did not realize that it was only monsters. If so, this guy would have been further back, and I would have just risked the roll to get extend with a Pyrovore. But anyways, this basically opens up the opportunity where these 8-bound go in, they kill the Psychophage, spend a CP, able to be just barely outside of my Vect aura, kill me, spend the CP, get the 6-inch pile-in and consolidate, where then all of these guys can charge into the Pyrovores, kill off the Pyrovores with just this 20-man unit, and then the Berserkers here get to 6-inch pile-in and consolidate. Angron gets to 6-inch pile-in and consolidate, which turns off my heroic intervention, turns off my fights first, turns off my interrupt, because everything is not in combat until he activates it. And that just shuts down absolutely everything that I can possibly do. And it becomes very, very bad for me within an instant. Which again, kind of makes it where these guys going too far is a very big deal, because if Anthony doesn't make these charges, because he's now spent both of it, like his plan is to spend all of his CP right here. That means he has no CP to reroll any of these charges. This was a 6-inch charge, a 5-inch charge, and a 5-inch charge. Doing that with no rerolls is, reasonable. Doing a 8-inch charge, a 5-inch charge, and a 7-inch charge is much less reasonable. So without any rerolls. So that would actually be staking the game on a lot higher stakes than what he ended up doing. I don't remember what he actually rolled, but he does end up making every single one of these charges. So here we are. You can see these 8-bound did in fact pick up the Psychophage, and now he picks up his 6-inch pile-in and consolidate. And with this, he manages to, this is all of his heavy weapons and his Juggernaut Lord get to pile in over here and attack Swarm Lord's, attack Swarm Lord's Tyrant Guard. Angron gets to go into my Fight's First Hive Tyrant, who actually did, once I saw what was happening, I did heroically intervene into Karn's unit and have, just so I could get my Fights First. And then I whiffed like crazy and I killed all of 3 Berserkers with 6 Tyrant Guard and my Fight's First Hive Tyrant. So that was rough. But yeah, I killed literally 3 Berserkers, and then Angron came in. And so Angron gets to punch my Fight's First Hive Tyrant. Karn gets to punch my Fight's First Hive Tyrant. Karn finishes off all of the Pyrovores, allowing Angron to go in and fight, and allowing these guys to basically do the trapdoor swing, throwing all of his heavy weapons once again into Swarmlord's dudes, and just leave the chaff guys to pick up all of my Pyrovores. So
Obviously, this is very, very bad for me. Oh, sorry. Looks like these are out of order. But so this is him making the charges. This is what it looked like initially. So I did heroically intervene here, like I said, into Karn's unit. Tried to kill some guys, but I only killed 3. And then Karn kills these pyrovores. And then Angron piles in. These guys pile in. And this is what's left at the end of Anthony's fight phase. So the specialist weapons in this Berserker squad and the character kill off Swarmlord's Tyrant Guard unit exactly, which is also really bad because what that means is Swarmlord was out of combat because they piled in and just killed the Tyrant Guard. If even one Tyrant Guard had lived, I could have piled in and swung with Swarmlord or even like precisioned out his character or something. But instead, nope, I'm just stuck here. And if I shoot him, he's going to blood surge into me. So it's just really bad. And then over here, Angron by himself one-shot all 6 Tyrant Guard and my fight's first Hive Tyrant through the 5-up Feel No Pain. So basically what happened is he had 9 attacks, and with that 9 attacks, he handed me 7 saves, except they weren't actually saves. They cut straight through my armor. 7 saves and 2 dev wounds. So these 7 saves, he rolled 1-1 on the damage because he kills me on a 2+ on the damage roll with a d6 plus 2 damage. And so those 7 non-saves killed exactly all 6 Tyrant Guard. And then he hands 2 dev wounds to my Hive Tyrant. And I'm like, okay, well, I had a 4-up invuln, but these are the dev wounds that are resolved at the end. And then he rolled boxcars on damage. So my Hive Tyrant took 16 damage in dev wounds. I had a 5-up Feel No Pain. I did not roll 7 5-ups on 16 dice, and I died. So that is really, really bad. Everything went Anthony's way exactly how he could have hoped. So obviously Ripper died, Neurolictor died, all the Pyrovores died, all 12 Tyrant Guard died, and the Hive Tyrant died, and the Psychophage died. So yep, and I didn't even get to make an attack back other than with the fights first where I killed 3 Berserkers. So here, actually, this picture, this is my dead pile. This is my dead pile after turn 1. Pretty devastating. And Anthony's pretty happy with himself, as you can see. Which, I mean, again, he went for a gamble and it worked. It paid off, and I very much died. Again, I just the movement thing makes it a little disappointing, I guess, that it would have been riskier than it actually was. But after he rolls out everything else, everything is dead. And then we go into my turn 2. So basically I go in with both Harspexes and Psychophage to go and kill Karn, and I come up here and go with Harspexes and Swarmlord to kill off the Berserkers over here. I managed to do a significant amount of damage considering what I had left, where I do kill, I think, 16 of the 20 Berserkers, leaving just 4 specialist weapons on the Juggernaut Lord, and then I kill off all of Karn's unit, and I think I leave Karn alive with 1 wound, unfortunately. So he has not lost his first life. He still has 1 wound left. But I do manage to kill off, I think, all of the spawn up here. So I've killed off 4 spawn. Anthony does rapid ingress with the Exalted 8-bound over here, because there are 2 Harspexes for him to just go in and punch next turn. With this, in order to finish off the Blood Surge, what I did is I had a Ripper behind this wall. The Ripper comes around. I flamed with the Psychophage to get the +1 AP. He's forced to pile into the Ripper, but then he's forced to pile into the Ripper over here. But this unit that's stretched all the way over here, then basically with that charge, backs up. But thankfully the Harspex made it. However, that did prevent me from getting in with the Psychophage. Between Harspex and Swarmlord, killed off 16 of the Berserkers, killed off all 10 here, left him at 1, killed off the spawn here. But we're going into Anthony's turn where clearly he gets the big 15.
I'm not even looking at secondaries. It doesn't matter this game, as I'm sure you guys can tell at this point. But I do a significant amount of damage. But then we get into Anthony's turn 2. And if you notice, I left him a nice little hole right here because of the way that the Harspecs had to charge in and the Psychophage had to stand there, and Swarmlord charged in. There ends up with a nice little hole here, which perfectly fits Angron, where he is actually in combat with all 3 of these guys, which is super awkward. And then that actually his Berserker squad. Oh, looks like I got 17 of them. It's 3 Berserkers with the character, and which is just enough for him to multi-charge, put this guy here. That's what the enhancement is. It's 3-inch count as being in engagement range. So even though he has to stretch out like this guy gets to fight here. These 2 guys get to fight here. Pretty obnoxious. And then, Angron went here, and his 8-bound went after the Psychophage. What was funny about this is these 8-bound going into this Psychophage actually only did 2 damage. So he's still alive at 8. And Angron was like, okay, fine. I have 9 attacks. 3 at the Harspecs, 3 at Swarmlord, 3 at the Psychophage. And I said, perfect. I have an invuln with a CP reroll on Swarmlord, and I'm going to spend 2 CP to give the Harspecs a 5-up Feel No Pain. I'm going to lose the Psychophage, and that's probably it. Nope. Angron once again rolled really hot with Sustained Lethal and Fight on Death, because Anthony just has everything he wants at this point. Angron kills all 3. I don't. That's not supposed to happen. That's very statistically improbable. But 3 attacks on all 3 of these guys, and he kills a 12 wound Harspecs with a 5-up Feel No Pain, kills Swarmlord through the 4-up Invuln, kills the Psychophage with the 5-up Feel No Pain. And then over here, kills the Biovore and kills the Psychophage. And Karn over here with the new Exalted 8-bound, splitting up some attacks, manages to kill off all of my Harspecs. And this is the end of Anthony's literally turn 2. I'm tabled. I'm actually tabled. I do not have a model left. That was wild. Obviously, World Eaters can do damage. My list is a stat check, and World Eaters can meet that stat check. And again, Anthony knows exactly how to move the models around. He's been playing this army for years, and is truly the world's best player of this army, and very much an expert. And I got my clock cleaned. I became another statistic of just someone else who got 20-0'd by Anthony Vanilla with his World Eaters. So anyways, great game to Anthony. At least great game on his part. And pleasure playing him. I would like to play him again now that I know all the tricks, specifically the kill something and go into the 6-up pilot and consolidate. That obviously changes the math for my vibe screen. So I got absolutely obliterated, and the rest of the team did as well. Ben Neal being the only one who managed to get a draw versus Cass with the Ultramarine mirror match. So other than that, Phil got I think 6 points against John Lennon with his Gene Stealer Colt, and I think the rest of us basically got tabled. So Art of War very much destroyed us, but was a pleasure to play against them. And they went on to be completely undefeated. So congrats to them and their other team as well. Actually, they got first and second, being the only 2 undefeated teams, somehow never playing against each other. So good job, Art of War. You guys are the best for a reason, and well done.
All right, guys, I'm going to call it there for this video, part 1. And I will have games 4 and 5 as a part 2, which I will link to this video, although it might take me a couple days to get that final bit out, as I am going to another tournament this weekend. So I will be bringing a Subterranean Assault and be making a video recovering that as well. And thank you so much for watching, especially this one. We're over an hour, I think an hour 15 in, so really appreciate it. If you've watched this far, feel free to skip around. I'm hoping to put timestamps in this one. And thanks for watching Into the Hive Mind, and I'll catch you guys in part 2 coming out soon.